Hello and welcome to the SIHL expansion tournament. Much of the Florida Panthers Buffalo Sabres game right there, but maybe Buffalo, maybe. Believe it's Peyton Krebs. They had a breakaway in the first. I might be wrong on that though. And then he didn't score, obviously. But enough of me talking about the NHL. We're gonna move on to the SIHL expansion tournament. I got a Yankees hat on. I probably should have worn Buffalo for this, because I do have a Sabres hat, but it's fun. Enough of me rambling. We'll get to this. Left to right, as usual, we'll start the Denver Dragons and the Seattle Stingrays. So for Seattle, they barely got out of this one. Barely. This was way closer than it should have been. So, each team tied after one. So, Denver and Seattle. Denver played a really good game, but they got 1 point. They couldn't get a second. Seattle got that second point. So the game's tied after one, and after two, the Dragons have the lead. 3-2 over the Stingrays. But Seattle, they score 2 in the third. Denver scores 1 in the third. So the game's tied after 60 minutes. Then in the overtime, the first shot, the Seattle Stingrays defeat the Denver Dragons 5-4 in overtime. Seattle are going to move to 10-3-1, 21 points on the season. The Denver Dragons, they fought a 5-8-1, 11 points on the season. They do improve that point. They get to 11. That moves them up like 1 spot in the standings. The Philadelphia Falcons and the New York Eagles. This is for... Oh wait, no. We'll get to that game. We got the LA Monsters and the Minnesota North Stars in Minnesota. So for the LA Monsters, they take a 1-0 lead after the first period. So yeah, they have the lead. Again, I notice this a lot with LA. They have great starts. Does it last? No. And then then the second period, Minnesota. Here we go. 2-1 after 2. Then in the third period, they just let go. LA just lets go. And then by the end, the Minnesota North Stars, they win the game 5-2 over the LA Monsters. And LA falls even further. 3-7-3, not just the 9 points on the season. And that's only because 3 overtime losses. Minnesota, they improved to 4-3-6, which they need to start winning games. This might be a step in the right direction, although this is like playing Buffalo, pretty much. It's like playing the Buffalo Sabres. So yeah, the Minnesota North Stars, they moved to 4-3-6, 14 points on the season. Now we move to the Philadelphia Falcons and the New York Eagles. So this one really close game between these two teams, both pretty good teams. It's like the Rangers and the Panthers. Speaking of Panthers, they're about to start period number 2. But let's go Buffalo. I guess I'm watching the Buffalo. Enough of me ranting about the Sabres and the Panthers. The Eagles and the Falcons. 2 teams named about birds. So after one, a pretty nothing in the first period. Period 2, this one I did cover Philly. About halfway through, they do get on the board. It's 1-0 Philly. They were able to shut New York down for pretty much the first 2 periods. And then the third period is where the action happens. New York, they score back-to-back goals in about 4 minutes, I believe. It was really fun to call that one. Then the Falcons tie the game in the final minute. And then the Philadelphia Falcons able to win the game in overtime 3-2, so they blew the lead, then they came back to win it. Which is crazy. Crazy game here. So Philadelphia, they moved to 9-5-0. Meanwhile, the New York Eagles fall to 7-5-2. So interesting game between these two. So that'll do it. And I'll do another one in a couple hours. That'll be today's game, so there is quite a few. Saturday, I won't be covering any of them. And I have a game ready to cover tomorrow. The Seattle Stingrays and the Austin Bandits, 1 o'clock. Tune in. No, 4 o'clock. Tune in. 4 o'clock, Austin and Seattle. I'm Thomas Rose, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye. Hope you had a good one. Goodbye.